Before I start giving my talk, I'll speak for about half an hour, and I would like question answer for another half an hour. And Craig reminded me that I should say that when you ask questions, it should be brief question and not a statement. But before I start, I would like you to bring your both palms together and bow in homage to Mother Earth, in homage to sacred life, in homage to sacred universe, and our connectivity and interrelatedness and interdependence with all things. See yourself in the universe. See universe in yourself, and bow to the universe, and bow to each other in humility. Thank you. I'm delighted to be a part of this great medicine festival. I was mentioning this to Josh, that the word medicine and meditation come from the same Latin root. Medicine and meditation come from the same word in Latin. So, meditation and medicine both are for healing. Healing ourselves, but we are the earth and we are the universe. So with our meditation and medicine, we heal the earth and we heal the universe. So we are all healers. Please, when you leave the medicine festival, go away with this one idea, this one sentence, one mantra. Make this your mantra. I am a healer. Please say everybody together, I am a healer.
I'm a healer.
Thank you. We are not consumers. We are healers. We are not producers. We are healers. We produce for healing. We grow food to heal the earth, to heal ourselves, to heal the soil. I'm delighted and also grateful and honored as well that this festival has brought the three words together: soil, soul, and society. And if you want to go a bit more in detail of these three words, there's a book which I wrote called Soil, Soul, Society. So this little session here is about soil. Soil, in a way, represents the entire earth. We are made of soil. Our body is transformed soil. The food we eat, the beautiful apples, at the moment there are lots of apples emerging. I come from Devon and I have 15 apple trees. And apples are soil transformed. Where the apples come from? From the soil. About 40 years ago, when I moved to Devon, I've lived there for 40 years. I have 2 acres of soil, land. And I planted 15 apple trees. Just a tiny seed. You remember your apple seed? Tiny seed I put in the soil. And the soil, with the help of water, with the help of sunshine, and with a little bit of help from me to put a little bit of fencing so that some deer or some animals don't chew them away. Only a little help. But the soil transformed that seed into a plant. And that plant grew into branches. And those branches grew into leaves. And those leaves grew into blossom. And lo and behold, we have apples. And for now, last, I would say, 25 years at least, if not 30, but 25 years, I have been having those apples, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of apples from single seed. Can you imagine? One seed can create an orchard. That's the miracle of the soil. One seed can create an orchard. Abundance of nature, abundance of wealth created by soil. And this gift of the soil, which is the apple, and you can translate that into any vegetable, any grain, any fruit, mangoes, bananas, oranges, lemons, plums, pears, anything you can imagine. But just take apple as a kind of symbol, as a kind of entree into the window, into the whole world of the soil. And that apple is my teacher. That apple tree is my teacher, and apple is my teacher. You go to the apple tree, it never asks you, have you come up with a Visa card? Have apples. If you want to learn the economy of nature, and economy of the soil, and economy of apple tree, it's a totally gift economy. It's a gift economy. Economy of nature is a gift economy. An economy of nature is a circular economy. Everything what is coming out of the soil, becoming into a tree, and leaves, and blossoms, and fruit, everything goes back into the soil. This circular economy. What industrial system does is creates linear economy. You take, use industrial, mechanized, and throw it away. Our landfills are full of rubbish. And our oceans are full of rubbish. And our rivers are full of rubbish in this industrial linear economy. Economy of nature has no waste. Economy of soil has no pollution. Actually, economy of soil takes the pollution, absorbs it, and transforms into good. That's a miracle of the soil. People don't talk about soil. In your parliament, you have lots of discussions. Everybody gets heated up with Afghanistan or some Brexit or some nonsense things. It's the soil which they need to talk about in parliament. We need to have a soil minister. Where is the soil minister? Please, from the medicine festival, make a petition to the government and say, we need a soil minister. Not even, we call them sort of food and farming, DEFRA or something, department of this, that, or the other. We don't want DEFRA. We want soil. Soil minister. We don't want prime minister. Goodbye, prime minister. Resign. Shame on you that you don't know the soil. So we need to talk about soil. And protecting the soil, building the soil. Even if you live in the city, you can build soil. You have a kitchen. You have a little compost making bucket in your kitchen. You can transform your vegetable leaves out of cauliflower. Cauliflower comes and flower is protected by this lovely wrapping. Nature's economy again. Nature's wrapping. No plastic. The leaves around the cauliflower. Those leaves are saying, put me back into the soil. Make me a compost. Please listen. Talk to your leaves of the cauliflower. The peels of your apples or oranges or bananas or anything you are eating, they are soil. Put them in the compost bin, and within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's soil. and put that soil on your roof. I mean, London has hundreds and hundreds of acres of roof space and wasted. Hundreds of acres. They said we have no land in London. But all the roof can be land. Put that compost from your kitchen waste on the roof and make thick soil. I visited one of my friend, an ecology friend, member of Soil Association, and I had a cup of tea, but it was not ordinary Indian Assam or Darjeeling tea. It was mint tea. It was not from the bag, not a rubbish tea bag. If you are ever using tea bag, please listen to me and throw them away. Because a waste, paper is wasted, and all the things. For the name of convenience, we are creating this waste. So he did not put mint tea in a bag for me, but a fresh green leaves in London, near Oxford Street, near Oxford Square. I saw that and I said, wow, fresh, tastes so good, mint. Where did you get it? We finished the cup of mint tea. I said, come with me. Do you want to see my garden? You are a gardener. Come and see my garden. We went upstairs, on the roof. Mint, sage, rosemary, herbs, tomatoes. Amazing. On the roof of London office. And then he opened a cupboard. On the roof, cupboard, nicely protected cupboard, and put a pot of honey out and gave me, this present for you. Made in this garden, beehives. If London roof can be like that, one friend of mine, that's the kind of miracle of soil. Every roof in London, Paris, New York, New Delhi, Beijing, Moscow, Berlin, wherever you are, whichever city need not be an impediment to regenerative agriculture, regenerative living, regenerative culture, whether you are in the city or in the countryside. I mean, I like to live in the countryside. And if you can manage to leave the city, leave London, come and live in the countryside. That's better. But if you are having a job, some ghastly job in the office, and you want to continue for a while, to make a little bit happier your job, living in London, a little bit more healthier, then start to put your kitchen waste in the compost. And any leaves you find in the street, because London has many gardens and trees, just collect in your little bag. Not a plastic bag, but a cloth bag or a jute bag, some proper bag. Collect some leaves when you are walking Hyde Park or Regent's Park or Richmond Park or Hampstead Heath. Collect some leaves when you come back in your home. Put them in the compost and put them on the roof or window box. We need to touch the soil. Soil is the medicine. And meditate on the soil. Medicine and meditation together. Meditate on the soil and make the soil your medicine. And when you are growing food and vegetables and herbs and mint and sage and lemon verbena, that's my favorite plant. Lemon verbena. Grow lemon verbena in your window box or on your roof, and you will have tea, such tea that you don't have to import Assam tea or Darjeeling tea or this London, what do you call it, English breakfast tea. It's neither English nor breakfast. So, have mint tea, lemon verbena tea, sage tea, the rosemary tea, amazing English herbs, such a healthy tea. I mean, you can have a little bit of Assam tea, no problem, but not in tea bag. Not in tea bag. Fresh, proper tea. Loose tea. Always buy your loose tea, organic loose tea. I think Clippers make organic loose tea, don't they? That's a good one. So, we need a revolution, a soil revolution. We need a soil revolution. And we need to protect our land. You say, I'm English, I love England. But you build concrete on it. You don't love England. People who build airports and concrete and HS2 or more and more infrastructure and industrial estates and business parks and shopping malls and all that. Our green and pleasant land of William Blake, where is it? This is a wonderful farm. This is a wonderful place. And in this area, there are quite a few. Walton Place, I went to, wonderful biodynamic farm. Heckfield Place, wonderful biodynamic farm. Julian Rose's farm is nearby here too. That's a great organic farm. So we need to protect our country, our land, our soil, and grow food and grow trees and make it even wild. Isabella Tree and her husband Charlie, they are doing wonderful work in Knapp Estate. I went to visit them and I was so delighted. I heard nightingale singing. First time in England I heard nightingale singing at night. That's real England for me. Not these shopping malls and concrete jungles that you are building and the roads and motorways and highways and HS2 and all that. We don't need more infrastructure. We need more land. And we need to say that working on the land is not the job of some uneducated, not so clever, left behind rural people. They don't know how to be civilized or be cultured and be intellectual. Therefore, they are left behind, and then they can do some land work, grow some food, and do farming. And if you are clever, you are Oxford, Cambridge, educated, smart, then you go and work in London in a bank or in some kind of corporation. I think we have to change that. We need to change that. Soil revolution demands that we change that. And we say, working in a bank should be paid maybe £20 an hour or £10 an hour. No more. If you work in a bank, you are backward. £10 an hour. But if you're not working in a farm, producing food, £100 an hour. Because banking or working in the office behind a desk or behind a computer, it's not filling the figures. It's not such. Why they should be accountants? Why should they be paid £500 an hour or £1,000 a day? Why? Real workers who work on the land, grow our food without which we cannot survive, and they are considered as a backward. I tell you, I'm a gardener. 2 acres of garden, only small garden. Not a farmer, but a gardener. I think actually England should be gardened. This place should be a garden. It is a garden. When I walk through the woods and so on, it's a beautiful garden. England should be gardened more. And we all should be participating. You are Prime Minister, you are Queen, you are King. Actually, Prince Charles is a gardener. Prince Charles is a gardener. That's a good credit to him. But whoever you are, minister, banker, officer, CEO of any company, everybody should be a gardener. If you don't touch the soil, you cannot have good health. Why we have National Health Service falling apart and never have enough money? Why we have so many ill people in the country? We have to ask. Because we have lost contact with the soil. We don't touch the soil. When you go out, soil is out in the field, and that's where you have fresh air. And when you work in the garden, I'm 85. Do you see any lack of energy? Because I work with the soil. I work in the garden. I'm in the fresh air. And I breathe the beautiful smell of flowers, the beautiful flowers. And I see the birds and the bees and the butterflies. And I see the little worms. The worm under the soil, the earthworm, are my heroes. Earthworms are my heroes because they work day and night, 7 days a week. They've never asked me for a holiday. They work day and night, work, and they never ask for any wages. And they never go on strike. Even if when I do a little bit of, I don't dig so much. What I do my gardening, I put a little cardboard, which I have to recycle sometimes. So I put cardboard and then put lots of compost. I make a lot of compost. And put compost and then put a little hole through the cardboard and the compost and put the plant there. I try as little as possible digging. I had a great privilege and honor of meeting a man in Japan called Masanobu Fukuoka. He was a great scientist, and he wrote a great book called One Straw Revolution, which inspired me. So I went to see him in Japan. It was a great, great pleasure. And his land, his farm was Garden of Eden. So flourishing, so beautiful. And he never dug it. All letting nature work for him. I said, why I have to work when nature is working for me so hard and I don't have to pay anything to nature? So I don't dig so much. I do no dig gardening. And I grow asparagus. I grow raspberries. I grow strawberries. I grow gooseberries. I grow apples. I grow edamame beans. I grow, you can name it. And I grow pink for apple potatoes. You know pink for apple potatoes? How many of you know pink for apple? How many you have eaten? Wonderful. Delicious. But you can't buy them. Very rarely. So if you are a gardener, you can grow something really good. And even the red skin potato, the zire, that sort of thing. You can grow what you like. When you are a gardener, it's a great luxury. But it should not be a great luxury only for the rich. It should be a luxury for every one of us. We should have fresh food from the soil, fresh from the garden. 10 minutes before I cook the lunch, I go in my garden and pick the ready sweet corns and bring them into the kitchen and cook them, and they are so delicious. My daughter and a granddaughter and a son and my wife and I, we enjoy together, eating, sitting under the sun. That is a life every English woman and man should have. Why we have to be put in these cubby holes in big cities and no fresh air, no sunshine, and no soil, no fresh food? You get fresh food from supermarkets like Marks and Spencer or Sainsbury's or Tesco's or whatever they are called. What kind of food are you getting? Wrapped in plastic. Wrapped in plastic. Food should be fresh. 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I mean, you can have grain, maybe a little bit older. But even flour, my friend and mentor, E.F. Schumacher, I named my college after him, Schumacher College. Schumacher would never use to make bread any flour which was not ground that day. That day, he had a little mill, a Samap mill, it was made in Germany, Samap mill. And he will put the wheat and the mill at kind of hand mill, or even sometimes you can do electricity, but stone, ground. He will grind the flour that morning, make the bread, which will last for a whole week. And every week he made and he was a great economist. He was working for great companies, and he was a great writer. He was the president of the Soil Association, and he had a wonderful garden, Caterham, and I used to go and see him. It is E.F. Schumacher who persuaded me to stay in England. E.F. Schumacher, I met him. I was on a journey, on a kind of little trip to England, and he said, Satish, we are looking for an editor for Resurgence magazine. And I think you should become the editor. Your writing and your talking and your ideas are very similar to our Resurgence philosophy. I said, but Mr. Schumacher, you have many English editors you can have. I'm going back to India. Why are you going back to India? Why do you want to go to India? I said, but I work with the Gandhian movement, and I want to work there with the Gandhians. So, oh, Satish, there are many Gandhians in India. We need one in England. So please stay and make Resurgence a Gandhian magazine. So he persuaded me and said, all right, Mr. Schumacher, if I stay and become the editor, will you contribute in every single issue of Resurgence magazine? And he said, yes, that's the deal. If you become the editor, I'll write in every issue. And he did. Until he died, in every single issue, he and I worked together, and he wrote the article. And he was a great champion of the soil. So I can go on talking about, I'm passionate about soil. I can also talk about soul, but it's another day. And also about society, that's another day. But Medicine Festival is a great event. I'm honored and delighted to be part of this. And medicine and meditation come together. They come from the same root. So meditate and have medicine for your health, for your body, for your soul, for your spirit, for your mind, for your relationship. I was brought, I hope she doesn't mind, I was brought by a young gardener from Reading to here. And I said to her, she's not yet married. I said to her, I give you one tip. When you want to fall in love, I want to marry somebody, marry a gardener. Marry a gardener, I told her. She said, Satish, that's a very good tip. I'll remember that always. Marry a gardener. Because she's a gardener. I said, if you get somebody who's working somewhere in the office and coming tired, exhausted, not working with you, what kind of partnership that is? Marriage is not only a sexual and a kind of physical relationship. Marriage is a partnership of life. And so your partner, your husband or your whoever life partner you want to make, he should be like you are. Be a gardener and love the soil, love the land. And she was very pleased. So what I want to say to you, that from this medicine festival, we take this inspiration, this spirit, and we want to create a soil revolution, and all our land of England, Scotland, Wales should be looked after, gardened, farmed, organically, lovingly, caringly, and revering the land, revering the soil. That is our challenge, and not just seeing as a resource for the economy, resource for making profit. Land is not a commodity. Soil is not a commodity. Food is not a commodity. It's not for profits, not for sale. It's not for buying. It's for food. It's for relationship. It's growing together. It's a kind of healing. That's why I say we are healers. And in order to heal ourselves, we have to heal our soil. We have to heal our land. That's my message. And I speak it with passion because I believe in it. And I hope that some of this passion, some of this enthusiasm that I am conveying to you, you take it with you when you leave this medicine festival, and find some soil and even a little compost bucket in your city kitchen and make soil. You are a maker. You are a healer and a maker, not just a consumer, but a maker. You are a poet. You are an artist. Live like an artist. An artist is not a special kind of person, but every person is a special kind of artist. So you are all artists from today. Satish Kumar is giving you this degree, certificate. I have given you this certificate. You are an artist, and live like an artist. And gardening is a great art of gardening. Cooking is a great art of cooking. Living is a great art of living. And painting, dancing, music, poetry, they are all part of living. They are not separate. Art is not only somebody like Picasso who can paint a picture, or a poet who makes a poetry like Wordsworth or somebody. But everybody who does something with imagination, with creativity, and with love. Do it with love. The moment you bring love into your work, you become an artist. There's nothing special about artists. You are an artist if you put your love in your garden, in your cooking. My friend here, she saw a little shirt I was wearing with 2 holes there. And she said, Satish, I'm mender. Would you like me to mend your shirt? Ah, what a great honor to have that offering. And I gave this shirt to Mel. And Mel took it away and mended it, and now it looks like a work of art. You are an artist. It's a work of art. And when my wife saw it, she said, it's like craftsmanship. It's like a feature. It doesn't look like mending. It's like a feature on it. So that's art. So artist is not a special kind of person. But every person is a special kind of artist as long as you put your imagination and your creativity and your love and your craftsmanship into your work, it becomes art. So be an artist, be a healer. That's my message. Thank you very much. Now, I've spoken for about half an hour, as I said, and we have about half an hour for question and answer. So, brief questions and brief answers. Anybody? Please, Joe.
How can we persuade people that cheap food is expensive and that organic food is what everybody should eat?
Yes. How to do it?
A little question.
Yeah. It's not easy, not easy, but cheap food is expensive. How do we persuade it? There's no magic answer. We need to sharpen our communication. You are a communicator. You are a wonderful communicator. We need to sharpen our communication. If you look at the newspapers, television, communication about this industrial, mass-produced, fake food, which they show on the television and advertise on the television, and a Pizza Huts or whatever they are called, McDonald's or something, they advertise, they communicate. Our communication is very weak. The soil association and permaculture and organic food, all these, we are very, very weak. We have some beautiful books, of course. The Lady Eve Balfour's books, Living Soil, is wonderful. E.F. Schumacher's Small is Beautiful is wonderful. Rachel Carson's Silent Spring is wonderful. There are some wonderful books, but that's not enough. We need to make our message crystal clear and so convincing on radio, on television, in the newspapers, in the magazines, everywhere. People should know. At the moment, we are all brainwashed that this packaged food in the supermarkets, stale, imported from far, far away, and a sell-by date 2 weeks away, that is the food you should eat. That's the advertising. That's the brainwashing going on. And our communication is very weak. So only thing we can do is to sharpen our communication. Every organic farmer needs to be a good communicator. All great revolutions have come out by great communication. Martin Luther King was a great communicator. And Mahatma Gandhi was a great communicator. And Wangari Maathai was a great communicator. And she planted 20 million trees. And she got a Nobel Prize for planting trees, Nobel Peace Prize. So my suggestion to you is that we need to put more effort and more resources and more intelligence in sharpening our communication. People don't quite realize and understand the importance and the value of good, fresh, organic food. That's my suggestion. Thank you. Yes.
I just didn't catch the name of the person who said got the Nobel Prize but got
Wangari Maathai.
Wangari Maathai.
Yeah, she was a Kenyan woman. Kenyan woman from Kenya.
Oh, okay.
Kenyan woman. Yeah. Yeah, she was a professor, and she said to her students that this weekend I'm going to plant some trees. I'm going out of Nairobi. Any students want to come? 4 or 5 students came with her. Next week again, weekend, I'm going to plant trees again. Our country needs more trees. Any students want to come with me? 10 or 15 came. Another weekend, another month after month, she planted 20 million trees. Like that. Create a green belt movement. And she got Nobel Prize for planting trees. Any other question? Yes.
Organic farming
Yeah.
increases soil carbon every year.
Yes.
Because they're taking it out of the atmosphere and locking it in the soil.
Yes.
Industrial farming releases about a quarter of all our annual greenhouse gas emissions. Do you think carbon pricing is going to tip that balance in favor of organic farming?
Yes.
And do you think COP26 is the place where that?
Yes, I think this carbon pricing is a very good movement, very good idea. And COP26 is a very good opportunity to promote that idea and put forward that idea. And because at the moment, as you say rightly, 30 to 40% of carbon emission is coming from food production and distribution and transportation. So if we can reduce and transform our organic farming and more local distribution and less transportation, so I think this is a good opportunity at the COP26 in Glasgow. If we can raise this voice, I think will be a great contribution for the climate change movement. Yes.
I'd like you please to expand. We're going to COP26,
Yeah.
and I have some time to speak, and I'd love to hear what you think are the most important things we can bring.
As Craig said, I think agriculture is a neglected subject. People in the climate change movement, most governments and most industrialists, they think that we can solve the problem of climate change and climate heating and climate catastrophe, climate crisis, by technology. I think technology has a place, but it must be kept in its place, in proportion. And there are many, many other things we need to do, particularly the land and the carbon sequestration. Land, like Craig said, absorbs the carbon and holds the carbon. And so if at COP26 we can highlight the place of agriculture in mitigating the climate change and almost reversing the climate change, that would be a very important subject. If I think, should ask Craig, I think you are going there, aren't you? COP26?
No, I haven't made plans to.
But yeah, I think we should think of something to how we can highlight the importance of organic farming and regenerative agriculture and a more gardening and a more decentralized, more local and more organic. How we can highlight that at the COP26. That'd be a very important contribution if we can make that. Because they are all going to talk about technology and a kind of techno fixing and techno solutions. We need to get something more grounded. And COP26 is a good opportunity. Yes.
During lockdown, I noticed, obviously they didn't cut all the roundabouts and the verges and everything, and suddenly, I couldn't believe, like, where I live was transformed, amazing, like wildflowers, and, it just seems such an underutilized, and then they come along and they just cut down and it looks terrible, scrubby and bare.
Yeah, yeah.
I just think that's such an easy win.
Absolutely.
Easy win for COP.
Yeah, absolutely. When we cut down all the lawns, everywhere lawns, big lawns in Oxford University and Cambridge University and big Buckingham Palace and all the places, lawns, I think lawns should be reduced. Lawns are green deserts. And let the grass grow and let the plants grow. Winter will mow your lawn.
Wildflowers in my lawn, and I still mow it, but I've sowed wildflowers.
Wildflowers, very good. Wildflowers, wild grasses, yeah. I don't like mowing. If you have just a path, you can mow a little bit. Because mowing lawns, you are using petroleum, you are using fossil fuels, and that way you are kind of contributing to carbon emission. So why to mow when winter is going to do it for you anyway? And so plant wildflowers and plant. There's a wonderful wildflower promoter called Adam Hunt. You remember Adam Hunt? Were you there? No. He came to Schumacher College and he gave a very good talk. Adam Hunt. Look out for Adam Hunt. And he's a great promoter of these wild gardens and wildflower gardens. And that's a future for carbon sequestration. Yes, please.
What are your thoughts on vertical farming, where you can grow a lot more crops with the same amount of land, and like hydroponics, where you don't use soil at all to grow crops, and you can use less water?
Yes. I think that's good. As I said, all the cities, particularly, have walls, and those walls could be used as vertical gardens. Why not? And so I think in any way you can grow fresh food wherever you are living and be outdoor in fresh air and have something fresh to eat and the love of the plants and love of the flowers and love of the herbs and your relationship with the plants and relationship with nature, we are becoming disconnected from natural world. We are becoming so artificially organized our lives. Everything machine made, we don't make anything. Our hands, these hands, has a potential to grow food, to make pots, to build a house, to paint a picture, to do pottery. But 99% of potential of these hands is unused. 99%. 7 billion people on this earth. 14 billion hands. Just imagine if they were using 100% of their potential. and they were building. We don't need all this electricity. We don't need all these machines to make things. We can make it with our hands. Why are we being seduced to make? Because nature has become a resource for the economy. And humans have become a resource for the economy. Any organization you go, business, even NGOs, they have a human resources department. Human resources. Humans have become a resource for making money. We are only an instrument of profit. We are only a resource for economic growth. That's a travesty. I would say economy, consumption, production, profit, money, all these are means to well-being of humanity. Humans are the end, and money and profit and consumption production are the means. At the moment, money and profit have become the end, and humans have become the means to make the end. This has to be reversed. This has to be changed. And nature also become resource for the economy. That has to change. Nature is not a resource for the economy. Nature is a source of life itself. The moment we have this change of attitude, we create intrinsic value in nature. Nature is not valued in terms of nature's usefulness to humans. That's a kind of resource. But nature has intrinsic value, and humans have intrinsic value. All of you, all of us, every human being has intrinsic value. That is the basic human rights. But we have forgotten those human rights. And we think humans are just an instrument of making profit for a big corporation. And so, if nature and human and our integrity become the end, and profit and money and production and consumption and all the rest, economic growth, become the means, then money has a place. And business has a place, and the consumption and production has a place. But keep them in their place. Put them in their place. Do not allow them to dominate our lives as it is dominating today. Next question, yes.
Satish, do you have any views about accessing the land or the laws around the land?
Yes. First of all, in India we had a great movement, land reform movement, and we called it land gift movement. And my great mentor, Vinoba Bhave, he went from landlord to landlord to landlord for 12 years, walking 100,000 miles in India, north, south, east, west. And I walked with him many, many days and many, many weeks or months. And he collected 4 million acres of land in gifts. 4 million acres, not 4 acres, 4 million acres, not 400, not 4,000, not 400,000, 4 million acres of land in India, where land is very scarce. So I think you can create a land gift movement in Britain. But even if not that, offer yourself as a volunteer. Tell your neighboring farmers, any farmer you know, put a little notice somewhere. You need a volunteer? I'll come for a weekend. I will come for some time, and I'll work on the land. You don't have to own the land to grow food. As long as you have access to land and you can grow, become a gardener, become a volunteer. Every school, primary school, secondary school, every university, every college should be associated with a farm. Oxford has farms. Cambridge has farms. But students never see the farm. Every student, they should have farm and soil and food connected with them. Education of head is not enough. At the moment, when a student goes to university, they look at a student, teachers and professors and educators, they think the students have no body. They have no body. They have only head. And they educate the head. And even not the whole head. Because our brain has 2 hemispheres, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. The left hemisphere is the hemisphere of reason and logic and practicalities and mathematics and organization. And the right hemisphere is the imagination, the intuition, the relationship, the friendship, the creativity. So our universities don't encourage imagination, don't encourage spirituality, don't encourage relationship, just left brain education. So a student has only half head and no hands and no legs and no heart. We need to change that. And we need to have education of head, education of whole head, education of hearts, and education of hands. The moment you have a whole body education, and that can happen if we work on the land. Because when you are working on the land, you are using your brain, you are using your intuition, you are using your creativity, you are using your hands, you are loving the land, you are loving the plants, you smell the flowers. It's a whole education. Every school, university, college should be associated with a farm, with some land. Then our land should be cultivated like England should be gardened with hand and beautiful flowers and wildflowers and beautiful fruit and herbs. And when you go out in the field, you should smell fragrance of the flowers. England should be green and pleasant land of the William Blake's dream. And that's missing. So I think you can volunteer yourself. Yes, please. You are doing wonderful work.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And likewise.
Yeah.
One of the things that concerns me quite deeply is the slow uptake of regenerative practices
Yeah.
in conventional agriculture.
Yeah.
And it appears as though farmers are caught on the knife edge.
Yeah.
And it's an engineered situation
Yeah.
where they're financially stuck in large gross cash flow and very little net profit. So they don't really have the resources to transition into regenerative approaches. It's often based on funding or a large piggy bank of savings, or you have these small holdings or small farms that have money and are able to sort of experiment. I was just wondering if you had any experience with very quick.
My answer to that is a little difficult answer. Any great change and transformation happens with two things. Number one, great transformation starts on the fringe, on the edge. It doesn't start from the big center. Like a great river, like the river Thames or any great river, starts somewhere, like our river Dart starts with Dartmoor. It starts somewhere like a spring. And at that time, spring doesn't have to worry, how am I going to become a river? Just spring. That's all you can do. Then let other spring, other tributary, people will join and it will become a river. So do not worry about you being small, being on the fringe, being on the edge. Great revolutions start on the fringe. Martin Luther King started. Rosa Parks, one woman, refused to vacate a seat in the bus, and that created whole anti-racial movement. Mahatma Gandhi started making the salt march. Just small action, they created the whole independence movement, and India became independent. So do not worry if you are small and fringe, number one. Number two, all the great movements, people who are activists, they have to take risk. To live is to risk. They have to take risk and they have to suffer. They have to be prepared to go through hardship. Nelson Mandela, to bring an end to apartheid in South Africa, had to go to jail for 27 years. Emmeline Pankhurst, to bring women's right to vote, went to jail. Martin Luther King, you can take hundreds of examples. Václav Havel, they all had to go and put themselves on the line. But do it with happiness. Do it with love. We don't want miserable activists.
It's quite hard.
We want happy activists.
See the devastation of conventional agriculture.
Yeah.
It's a harsh reality.
Harsh reality. So we have to put our life online, happiness with love, with tremendous commitment, with tremendous dedication, but we have to be online and be prepared to face difficulties, face opposition, face hardship, face a lack of resources. Without that, I don't think in the beginning people will, but it will, the movement is growing. So Real Farmers Conference in Oxford gets lots of people. And more people are becoming aware of these things. And as I mentioned, a few farms in this area. So what you are doing is wonderful work. Carry on, be a spring, be on the edge, be on the fringe, take some difficulties, don't worry, with happiness. Like Mahatma Gandhi said, that I'll go to prison like a groom goes to wedding chamber. That's the kind of spirit. So have that spirit. You are young and you have future in your hands. Your movement will be great. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Communicate the change you want to see in the world. Organize the change you want to see in the world. But do not expect any results immediately. no immediate results. Nelson Mandela did not know when the apartheid will come to an end. But he said, I will put my life online with happiness. And he was offered freedom many times. He said, no, I'm happy to break the stones in the prison happily, but I will not be free until apartheid comes to an end. So you have to say the same thing. I will not give up, whatever. I'm not giving up. I'm 85. I'm not giving up. I'm still active. So remain activist, happy activist, loving activist. Results will be given to you by God or by universe or by cosmos. We don't know. When country will wake up, we don't know. When a prime minister becomes soil minister, we don't know. But we will carry on doing it. Okay. Good. So who is going to sell it? Somebody going to sell it?